Hello and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, where last time we played through the investigation, quote-unquote, for the third case of the game, and today we're going to be starting up the first trial section of the game. I don't like starting in the middle of things like this. I don't like to begin mid-sentence in terms of these games. However, we apparently passed over into the trial section without me knowing it, because usually they gatekeep it off with a save screen, where it says to be continued, but they didn't do that this time, so we got started and I didn't know it, but now we segmented the videos and now we're here, we're back at it again, ready to actually begin the video proper with the first trial section, so let's keep going. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please. We got Dracula over here as our prosecutor.
Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity.
We must be the only ones who aren't aware. Yeah, typically if there's gonna be one person in a courtroom who knows nothing about the events of the case, the best person, probably the defense attorney. Probably best for him to not have any idea what's happening, as you know.
The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks known in the community as Thrice Fired
Sorry, I can't get a hold of myself. Thrice fired Mason. Yikes, poor Mason. Sorry, thrice.
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible, and
Yet he was fired 3 times. His bricks were indestructible, his body not so much.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death.
As one would assume, yes.
Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
The autopsy report. Oh, we're actually calling it an autopsy report now. Subtle differences between locations in which you're standing trial, I guess. A report prepared by the Scotland Yard coroner gives the cause of death as internal hemorrhaging as a result of a single stab wound to the abdomen. And the photograph of the crime scene has been added or entered into the court record. I wanted to read that. I wanted to, not that it's going to be of great use to us, but I want to read it anyway. A photograph of the victim taken on the omnibus. The knife in his abdomen is clearly visible, but his face is partly obscured from view by an old, crooked hat. That is a detail that shouldn't have relevance to anything, but if they thought to mention it, it's probably going to be the linchpin of the case.
And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well. Some old disgusting gloves. And these are... Good lord! Is that blood, counsel? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested.
What? Mr. McGilden's gloves had blood on them? Great start, pal. I can't wait. Great. Thanks, buddy. You know, these are details that would have been lovely to know earlier when we said we agreed to be your defense attorney.
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well.
The defendant's leather gloves enter the court record. The leather gloves the defendant was wearing at the time of the incident, there was a blood stain on the right glove. I mean, you know, he could have just cut himself on the door handle as he was getting in, you know, maybe sliced himself on the wood. You know, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be the victim's blood. How did I get into this? You walked through the doors of the justice minister, and he said, and then you said, me want to be a lawyer, and then he said, fine, but you must stand trial, and then he said, okay, and that's how you got here. Very simple. Oh, also, you tipped the cab driver or whatever, an exorbitant amount of money, so he could take off at a speed of sound and become Sonic the Hedgehog for a day, to take a 20-minute drive and turn it into a 5-minute drive. I forgot about that part. That's also how you got here. I'm backed into a corner before I've even started. It doesn't have to be anyone's gloves, you know.
Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time.
Only 2?
Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded. Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
The defendant should not have to say anything. Well, of course I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded. To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have been asleep?
I do believe that's what he said. 'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Lilting, so it is. And when I open my eyes again... 'Twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I'd never laid eyes on before in me life. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush home a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. So the blood got into the gloves then, after the man had been killed.
Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning.
What? That's not all of it? Well, if it was all of it, it would have been a pretty weak case.
There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed.
Oh, great. I am very curious to see how the jury is going to play a role in this trial. If they're going to, I assume they're going to play some kind of a role, because I doubt they'd make the same mistake twice with a jury system that after the events of Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. Surely they wouldn't do the same stupid thing twice.
Order. When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime are made pretty clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all. Your wish is my command.
Oh, you were Genie? I believe your name is Dracula, not Genie. Ow, I didn't even bump the mic this time. I bumped the pop stand, or the pop filter, attached to my mic stand. Yikes, that was a failure. That wasn't even a normal failure. That was like a colossal failure.
Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once.
Alright, who are we dealing with this time? Oh, good lord almighty. Alright, we have a man who's freezing to death, Abraham Lincoln, and a guy whose head is apparently an ice ring since his hat can't stay on for longer than 2 seconds.
Witnesses, your names and occupations.
My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End.
Bruce Fairplay, I am a banker in the city.
My name's First Lady.
His name's Lady First, huh? Okay.
I make hats for gents.
Yeah, well, apparently you're doing a crap job since you can't even make a hat that fits your own damn head.
Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Very well then, let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please.
Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Alright, and so our first witness testimony taking place in Great Britain begins. What the witnesses saw.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
Okay, I don't... I'm gonna need you to be more specific with that. And what does Mr. My hat can't stay on my head have to say?
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too.
Okay. Well, there's no glaring contradictions yet, which means it's time to press for more information.
Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes.
I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, counsel.
I wonder if this uptight stance will ever go away, or if it'll just be persistent throughout the whole series. Because it'd be kind of cool if towards the end he doesn't resort to this default stance as he kind of gains more confidence. Because this pose always came off to me as like, yep, I'm here, I'm standing at attention. Please don't ding me for being informal or anything like that. I'm here, I'm standing at attention, and I'm very formal with my posture and all that. So it kind of feels like the uptight, like, I'm nervous, but I want to look professional kind of thing. So maybe he'll ease out of this kind of uptight stance the further into the game we get. I don't know, it could be cool, we'll see. But this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Why not?
Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? Yeah, but the carriages have windows.
As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes.
Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? Well, carriages have that thought never occurred to me. Carriages have windows. There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. Ryunosuke? Are you good?
How quaint. I read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own, but you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses?
Huh?
Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you even traveled in an omnibus?
I don't think so, because they traveled in a carriage, but they didn't travel in an actual omnibus, I don't think. Well, no. We, only arrived in London this morning.
No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves. The actual scene of the crime, that is.
What do you mean? The actual scene? How?
A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much.
Yes?
The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building.
Here? What? The entire carriage?
Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus.
Oh my dear God! Wow. Okay, yikes. I don't know how you got that thing through the damn doors. Oh, never mind. The doors are okay. The doors were a lot larger than I thought they were gonna be. I'll be honest here. I'm used to the doors being a little bit narrower than those doors are. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, and were they above? Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests.
Ah, yeah, okay. So I thought that they were on a different. I thought they were saying they were on a different omnibus, and that they just happened to they may have been traveling side by side, or they looked out the rear window and saw it happen. I didn't realize they were on the same, because I assumed they wouldn't be on the same omnibus because they said there were only 2 people in the room. I didn't realize that the omnibuses had a second level on top of them. That's pretty cool. I did not know. I'll be honest, I didn't know that. Skylight's a cool thing too, which also explains how they actually saw what was going on.
There was a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above.
Ah, a skylight. Whoa!
The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on the omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight.
Ah, that makes perfect sense.
Well, counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord, including some which I'm sure we missed that are soon to be pointed out to me. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish.
Very well. I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
Well, that was good, because if it didn't, then we would have been utterly screwed. The 8-seater omnibus that was the scene of the crime, there were passengers both inside the carriage and on the roof deck that night. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence? Yes. Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here.
Let us continue with proceedings, then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights.
I'll be stunned if they're any different than every other cross-examination that we've ever done in the series. I'll be actually stunned if they're any different at all. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Yeah, that'll look good for the judge. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. You know, one of these days, the judge is going to call him out for smacking his face, and it's going to be like, are you okay? Also, small detail to point out, but in the original trilogy port of the Switch, something that I didn't know when I first played through is that when on the original DS version, the bottom screen, at least I think it was the bottom screen, had, and you saw it in my Investigations 2 Let's Play, because I was on a DS screen as well, you saw that there was that little, cross face thing where, like, you see Phoenix's face coming from the left and then the prosecutor's face coming from the right. Or maybe it's the witness's face. Either way, you saw that kind of clash of the faces, but you didn't see that on the Switch version because it's all on one screen, and I guess there was no room for it. So it is kind of cool. I mean, it's a small detail that I don't personally care about, but it is neat to see that they actually brought that feature into the Switch port for this game, for those people who do care about it. So, cool thing to see. Anyway, what the witnesses saw. Again, no blatant contradictions here that I could see, but I just want to kind of ferret out some more information if we can. You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Oh, alright, we're gonna do the group testimony thing. Didn't know it testify to that? Or fair, dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Perhaps you could tell us... Oh.
My lord! Juror number 3? What's the meaning of this? My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up.
Oh, great, you're one of 6 jurors. Please shut up and wait until I at least say a single word outside of my first press. Made up about what?
I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them.
And that little leprechaun of man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. Oh my dear God. There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. I don't really care what you have to say. I've yet to present. You've yet to hear anybody. Really? Another person?
That's precisely what I was about to say.
All of you? Okay, yes, 2 of you. All of you is a bit of exaggeration.
As a foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors.
They're allowed to just interrupt the trial? I haven't even said anything yet. I've barely done anything. I pushed one button. This is the first cross-examination, and I'm already losing. What is happening here? Although shouldn't you know about this since you, I don't know, spent the last 4 months or whatever studying British law? Like, shouldn't you know about how all this works? Let me see. Ah, yes, it seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts, by tossing a fireball into a thing. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. Naturally. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Ah, now I'm even more worried than I was before. I'm gonna hope they can change their vote, because if not, then we're kind of screwed.
Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with our cross-examination.
Ah, this is a nightmare. I literally didn't even say anything. Maybe it's because oh, you know what it probably is? It's probably because oh, that's why. Okay, so, I'm trying to think, like, was that just to demonstrate how the system works, or was that me screwing up? Because I doubt it'd just be a scripted thing. So I'm thinking maybe because because something that happened in the original trilogy is sometimes if you press irrelevant statements, the judge would penalize you. It never happened to me, but I know that was something that can happen is if you press irrelevant statements, the judge will penalize you. So maybe that's the equivalent in this game is like, if you press an irrelevant statement, then you'll piss off one of the jurors, and then they'll cast their ball of fire onto the guilty side. So that might be how this works, is that you have to avoid pressing irrelevant things. Actually, let's test it. Let's press another statement and see if that's how this works. He stabbed him, you say, and you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you?
Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I'd been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absentmindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly. That huge, great knife.
A grim sight indeed.
Ah, that didn't help me at all. Oh dear. The jury looked like they're even more convinced my client did than they were before. That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First.
Oh, yes, sir?
Is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief, yes, that's it. The very one, sir.
Is that...
Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the... Of course.
So earlier when I said that he was Dracula, that was kind of a joke, but I mean... If that's the comparison you want to draw... Okay. You do you.
That is a blade of a considerable size, counsel.
It is. And furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar.
Ah, please, no.
M for Magnus, perhaps? Or McGilded, possibly? Take your pick.
Or how about anybody else in the city who has a name that starts with M? Or maybe that's just the brand of the knife. Or a million other possibilities, you don't know.
It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Well, don't you love your alliteration? I love the fake desk slam where it just sounds so weak. But there are M's everywhere. Yes, like in Mason. Oh my. That was a fancy font.
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused.
Ah.
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel.
A largest knife that was found large in the victim's abdomen. Its quality and fancy ornamentation suggests it must be quite valuable.
My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption.
Juror number 2, go on.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However...
Okay, that's how it works, isn't it?
Those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait, what are you about to dispose of the rubbish?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So that's 3 jurors of the 6 that have cast their votes for my client to be declared guilty. Which means I might have done diddly screwed up, because the intent behind pressing the 4th statement was to see if pressing an irrelevant statement will lead to the juror, or to pissing off the juror. And we've done it twice now, and both instances it has led to the juror being like, screw you, your client's guilty, you're wasting my time. So it's not conclusive yet, it's only 2 times, I'm gonna do it a 3rd time, because, okay, so the thing is, we need to get all 6 of, we need to convince, I'm guessing that the way Ace Attorney works, because instead of being innocent until proven guilty, it's guilty until proven innocent. I'm guessing that the way this works is instead of it being that even if just one of the jurors isn't convinced that with them are fine, I'm guessing we have to convince all 6 jurors that our client is innocent. Which means that if they can't change their vote, we're already screwed anyway. So, because we've lost the majority, now it's split 3-3. So, I'm gonna do one more press of a statement to see, because I'm still learning how this works. To press the statement to see if it works, and to see if it'll force one of the jurors into casting their vote for guilty. And if that works, then I'll have to try to figure out what I have to do next. I'm still trying to figure out how the system works. No!
I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime.
No offense, but you're filthy and grimy and I hate you.
I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion.
Oh, Jesus Christ. On second thought, maybe we shouldn't test it again. Not again.
That's 4 out of 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just... Okay, so that's exactly how it works. So that is... Okay, thank you. Thank you for telling me how that works, Sam. So that's exactly how this works. Is if you press them and it's not relevant, then it pisses off the jurors, and then they swing the fireball to the guilty side. Okay.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly. Seriously? We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back. But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again.
Alright, so if pressing irrelevant statements is gonna piss off the jurors, then we gotta figure out which one's the right one to press. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped because we might only have, because the last time we did this, the last 2 times we did this, we pissed off 2 jurors, so we might only have 1 more shot at this. So we gotta make sure we press the right statement. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too. We already know what it is. Stopping the bus is irrelevant. Oh, and that's, I should have gone backwards. That was dumb. That was dumb. I should have gone backwards instead of going forward, because then I wouldn't have had to sit the dialogue. Okay. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had few customers. I remember it well. Few customers. Maybe there was someone else in the cabin or the omnibus that he forgot. Maybe. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes. Ever so cold it was, sir. Freezing, in fact.
Well, I think you're just perpetually cold, so maybe you're not the best metric for judging temperature.
And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same part of the bus. Of course, no.
And there were no other passengers where the incident took place? No one alighted, for example?
You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. Nope, none.
So nobody fled the scene of the crime, then?
I have to say, the boss insists on it running, he does. Every evening, the last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say.
What do you mean by that?
Well, with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spent that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again. I just can't believe it, sir. Can't believe it. A murder on my own bus. It's just too awful to think about. I haven't been able to just shake this cold ever since it happened.
My lord, I wish to speak.
Yes, Joe number 5. Do I take it that you, too?
As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's cabins is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself.
No. Don't tell me I got it wrong again. How can I be this bad at being correct? There's 5 statements to pick from, and I've gotten the wrong one all 3 times I've tried to press a statement. How am I this bad at this? I swear, if both jurors send their flame into the guilty side, I swear to God.
But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say.
No, please.
Gee up now, Silverblaze. The finish is in sight.
No. Okay, maybe he'll be the only one. Maybe we still have a chance.
Pippa was a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
You know, I thought the whole point of being a jurist is that you were supposed to be impartial to the case at hand, and yet you just said that you trust him because he's the... Yes, it's a great jury you got picked to, I gotta be honest. Some real impartial judges you got selected for this case. You guys do a great job. This is great. This is too unkind, sir.
Which now means that 5 Joes agreed to condemn this man,
But not all 6, so I still have a chance. It's all down to Granny. Hi, Granny. Your knitting skills are magnificent. Which is something I thought I'd mention for no reason at all.
Madam Juror number 6.
Oh, don't you try to sway her now. That's my job.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting.
Such an activity is unthinkable for Dracula.
There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on the Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life.
Alright, you know, you guys suck at picking people that are impartial to the case, but in this instance it happens to work out for me, so you know what? I approve of your biased jury for the time being. But fix it for next time. Well, once I leave, you can fix it. But for now, let's keep it the same. Because for one, that's how these things work, right? Bias is okay when it benefits you, but not when it doesn't benefit you. That's how this works.
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know what kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is?
What kind of a man is he? He's an owner of a chocolate factory.
The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls.
So is he the Dark Souls of video game characters? What?
Stone the crows!
McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
Okay, cool, but I don't really care. All I care about right now is if he killed the brickmaker man, the Lego man. If not, unless he killed the Lego man, I don't really care. He can do like that's. We can judge his morals later, but right now we're trying to figure out if he killed someone else, which is the only thing that matters right now.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madame. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? Okay, so, unless you have proof that he owns his own carriage, this train of thought is completely irrelevant to the case at hand. Being rich doesn't inherently mean that you are, like, incapable of taking public transportation. So unless you can prove that he has his own, and if you can, I'll shut my mouth, but until you prove he has his own carriage, this is irrelevant. The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious.
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him. His life. Why, the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it! Yeah! If I might add something briefly, Miss Usato. Maybe this country will be slightly less sexist than the last one, and I'll actually let her speak for herself. You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded, but where's the evidence to support your claim? Yeah, there we go. Oh, great. So we had one prosecutor who's a coffee addict. Now we have another one who's an alcoholic. That's not alcohol. That's blood, isn't it? Never mind. I take it back. He's not an alcoholic. He's Dracula. Of course, it's blood.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollowed chalice in a court of law.
Yeah, well, there is precedent. Well, I guess technically not. Technically, this would be the precedent for Godot, but you know.
Oh, there it is. Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice.
How can this be considered acceptable? Oh, if only you knew. If only you knew the type of crap that would be considered acceptable in the future. Oh, if only you knew what we were in for. Anyway,
but I find myself in unexpectedly good humor.
in an Ace Attorney game? Never.
I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
As judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh.
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence.
You know what would be a cool payoff? I doubt this game would... I doubt they'd do it. But something that'd be really cool is the whole thing... Because, like, clearly Susato has a knack for this. She clearly... They haven't directly said it yet, but she clearly has a, like... At least I think she has an inkling to be like Ryunosuke in the sense that, like, she wants to stand in his place. She wants to be the leading defense attorney. And she clearly, again, she's clearly very competent. She's clearly very perceptive, very determined, very, very courageous, and she knows how to stand up for herself. She's clearly has a knack and has the skill set for this to be a criminal defense attorney. And the whole thing was that, like, in Japan, the whole, because that, in this game's universe, it's like, women can't be defense attorneys in this game's universe, so what would be a pretty cool payoff is if by the end of this game we managed to change that law so that she can become the defense attorney, and like Ryunosuke can help mentor her. Not that she would need the mentor, but you know, it's just to kind of have keep their friendship going, to kind of have her come into her own by the end of the game, so that both Ryunosuke and Susato can come into their own and stand as their own and make an awesome team by the end. I don't think this game would do that. I really have a lot of doubt that would be a thing, but you know what, it'd be really cool to see, so I'll keep my hopes there. Anyway.
And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. We shall drink blood in celebration because I am Dracula. A marvelous toast, counsel. I would gladly accept this new evidence.
The debtor's ledger has been entered into the court record. A catalog of people who had borrowed money from the defendant at a high rate of interest and includes the victim who owed 20 guineas.
Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum.
And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel.
No. Okay, so there must be a way to change their minds then. Because unless I just royally screwed up and it's gonna be game over, there's gotta be a way to change their minds.
Still, maybe it's all for the best.
Have you ever seen someone condemn another human being to death with a smile on their face like this?
I don't stand for nonsense.
Well, that was fast. Oh, Jesus Christ. Welcome to Ace Attorney, directed by Michael Bay. Well, that was fast. Fastest loss in the West. That was it. The last juror's decision. We'd barely begun. According to this encyclopedia, the spelling threw me off. Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict. It's over then. Oh! There's a footnote, though. A footnote? However, the defense... No. Wait a minute, wait. Susato was gonna say something. Quickly, say the thing. Say the thing, Susato, quickly. We need your help here. We desperately need your help.
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
Susato, you better tell me what's going on in that book, please. I beg of you. We need your help, please. We're gonna be screwed if you don't. Mrs. Susato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. How about the defense? What did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. You closed the book? Why did you keep it open? When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and what's the footnote? However, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. What's a summation examination? Well, whatever it is, it's gotta be something good, so let's just do it. A summation examination? Whatever it is, just do it. It's better than doing nothing. We might as well just do it.
A summation
He heard that?
From which century has that tomb you have there been resurrected? Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
Well, but unless it's been outlawed, there's no reason why we can't do it. What even is it, Mr. Sato? This so-called submission examination? Oh, one moment, and I'll read about it.
You would demand the right to a procedure before you can even understand what it entails?
Well, our choices right now are do nothing and accept defeat, or do this in the hopes it'll benefit us. I'll take the latter over the former, thank you.
Typical Nipponese.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we'll be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what, exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. And it says here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions.
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision, but that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really.
Yeah, what would be the practical benefit in trying to convince jurors that they've reached the wrong decision before wrongfully condemning a man to his death? What would be the practical benefit in doing that? I wonder why.
Justice Minister,
corrupted. What? I didn't say anything.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age.
Well, we have no other options, so let's do it. I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? A submission examination, our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? Obviously, we assert our right to carry it out. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
But if it's alright, it's alright. I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
The defense petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. Yeah. Based judge.
This is madness.
Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? I'm not. There was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty.
Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
Yep, you've heard no. You, unless you just flipped a coin, you must have had a reason to pick the decision you made, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal for you to tell me why.
This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before. But you must have had reasoning for your decision. No one makes a decision for no reason, so just relay what that decision was. Or what that reasoning was. I didn't really hold with all this justifying lock. Yeah, why bother trying to justify your decisions? What a silly thing to do. That seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then, the submission examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just... excuse me, maybe it might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around.
So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilton, guilty of this most serious crime.
Alright. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. See, so already we haven't even begun yet, and already the juror system is about 1,000 times more fleshed out than it was on Apologize State's Attorney, which isn't exactly a high bar, but still. It's nice to see that they learn from their mistakes.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers, with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and calculated all the statements made thus far, and drawn the logical conclusion.
You can trust the guild. Fair is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years.
Wait, 4 pence. Wait, you haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. That math doesn't check out. No. That math doesn't check out. That math does not check out. Because the other guy said that the... Oh wait, no, it wasn't the other guy. It was the. This is my voice. It was the second person. She said that because there was 4 passengers and the fare totaled 20 pence, and 4 times 4 is 16, not 20. So one of you was wrong. So good luck reconciling that one there, buddy.
This scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief.
No. That he wasn't on the floor, he was in his chair. As evidence. Okay, so we got 2 contradictions. Okay, 2 contradictions. So we have people, 2 in the second person and the 5th person who can't agree on the pricing or on the people in the cabin. We'll find out which one is wrong. I'm guessing it's gonna be people in the cabin. We'll find out which one of them is wrong, or which part of that is wrong. And then we have the 3rd guy who said that he was stabbed to the side, and then Granny, who was saying that he was stabbed on the floor. And we know that Granny's wrong because, well, okay, I guess technically we can't prove for sure whether it's Granny that's wrong or whether it's uptight juror number 3 that's wrong. But we know that one of them has to, because we have the picture that proved that that proves that he's like we can see the knife in his abdomen set on the chair. So either he was stabbed next to him on the chair or on the seat, or he was stabbed on the floor. Either way, he ended up in the position on the seat. Either way, one of them has to be wrong. So we're gonna mix things up. We're gonna stir the pot a little bit because we're gonna try to see if we can pit the jurors against each other. All right, this is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be interesting. I like this so far. Okay, I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. No, what are you talking about? This is perfect. This is brilliant. This is exactly what you wanted. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me if they get all I care about is that they contradict each other, which they absolutely do. So we're sitting pretty right now. But let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some hard-boiled rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas would sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have an idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your argument. Yep, that's what I thought. Because their statements, this time there's no evidence that contradicts the statements. It's their own wording. Their own statements contradict each other, so we're going to pit them against each other. Oh, I like this. I really like this. This is great. This is awesome. This is how you do a jury system well, Appellate Justice Ace Attorney. Learn from your ancestors. Actually, no, yes, learn from your ancestors, because this game takes place before that game, and they've come out about 8 years later or whatever, but it takes place before then, so yes, Appellate Justice Ace Attorney, and I guess Phoenix in general, because Phoenix is the one who led the jury system somehow. Learn from your ancestors, and you can imagine I'm doing the Susato pose. Learn from your ancestors, because oh boy howdy, this jury system is so much better than the schlock that you crapped out in Appellate Justice Ace Attorney. Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. Yeah, you randomly selected one person who's biased against my defendant, or against my client, and one who's biased towards my client. Great job, guys. They may appear to be present in a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, then we can contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off!
Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord. Alright, let's do it. Jury examination. The defense's rebuttal. Here we go. Alright, so X to pit, so do I pit you against, who's the guy that said, yeah, you. Haven't raised the prices. Well, you can't both be right because 4 times 4 is 16, not 20. So,
Objection.
I call BS. Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
They do? Explain yourself, counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's maiden name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about.
According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20... Oh my god, walking animations? Walking cycles? This is some advanced stuff right here. He took 20 pence in fares.
Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me.
And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence.
And it is. A fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriage should be operated.
But that doesn't add up at all. Or rather, multiply up. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts.
Why, man? Why?
4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication,
It would be 16 pence.
Exactly! As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely, 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes! In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible There was another passenger we've heard nothing about. There's that objection music. You love to hear it. You love to hear it.
This can't be right. The coachman of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Truthfulness is our watchword.
The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon?
That's working.
Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets a nefarious characters ride his omnibus.
He looks like an Overcooked character. I've been trying to figure out what game franchise he looks like he came from. He looks like he came from the Overcooked games.
Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end,
Well, according to my book here,
I love the animations in this game. The animations in this game are unlike any other game in the series. They're so fluid.
you simply launch a ball of fire onto the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now, hold your horses there, coachman. We were all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo!
There we go. One step closer to home.
This is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Another step closer.
For the love of Mike, not you as well.
A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo! You did it! If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds,
Oh, I can do that because I got 2 more people I can pit against each other.
we can force the trial to continue! 2 more, actually. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. That's where you must strike next! So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and ensure there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly! You can do it!
Oh, I can do it, alright.
Well, the scales of justice has shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
Oh, by the way, this right here, this is what group testimony should have been in Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Because the whole thing, I'm gonna go on a rant again. The whole thing with how that was executed, or implemented rather, in the crossover was dumb as hell. Because basically all it was just a regular testimony, except there were more people on the stand. The only thing that changed is that occasionally you would press a statement and then they'd elaborate, and then someone else on the stand would be like, oh no, you said a thing that caused me to react in a certain way. But it's pointless because every time they reacted, the game would always let you know. It would always, like, there was no looking at people. It'd be one thing if you had to actually look at the characters' faces to check to see if they react. But no, the game literally would tell you, hey, I'm reacting. Me over here, character number 6, I'm reacting. Please question me. And then you would question them. And it also wasn't a thing where, like, not every time they reacted led to something fruitful. Every time someone reacted, it was always the optimal strategy to question them. So it was just a pointless mechanic. But here, this is actually implementing player agency, where you, as the player, have to manually figure out which of their statements contradict each other and pit them against each other. This is fantastic. It's awesome. I love this mechanic. And it is everything I wanted to see out of the group testimony when I played the crossover back in December. I'm so happy to see that they finally did something with the mechanic. Thank you, Shu Takumi. Or maybe, I guess, because I like to go to Shu Takumi because he's the genius who writes the games. But I wonder if I wonder if the gameplay mechanics are his idea or if that goes to someone else. Whoever designed the gameplay mechanics for this game, hats off to you, my good friend. You knocked it out of the park. This is Dance Introduction. I'm not too thrilled with, but this is phenomenal. Okay. Anyway, that's enough of me gushing. The game got so bored of me gushing, it decided to autosave. Okay, so I need to pit you against Granny, because Granny's like, oh, you were stabbed on the floor, but this guy's like, no, you were stabbed next to me, so,
Objection!
Those 2 statements are completely contradictory.
What? Explain, counsel, post haste. Oh, dearie me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you?
We've heard from more than one witness that they all allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3.
What? Can you see I'm busy here?
You're busy sitting still listening to me.
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it?
Ha! Want to test me, do you?
It was like this. Stuck to the fellow next to him without even getting up, just like the prim banker said.
Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony, quite true.
Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so.
Now don't move! Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What?
Bless my stitches, what a muddle!
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility of one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh,
But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience?
lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies.
Yeah, there we go. Alright, they're balanced. Now we gotta tip it. Now we just gotta tip it in the other direction.
The scales.
I don't believe it.
They're back in order. They're balanced. Now, juror number 3, throw your thing in there. Tip it one step further.
Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all.
If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? And something, this dark jinx, what the hell? Huh? Me?
What exactly is the problem? What of it if 2 witnesses have slightly different recollections of events?
Yeah, what of it if 2 people saw completely different, or claim to have seen completely different things about the moment of murder? Why would that matter at all? Well, what of it?
Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then Shylock said, no, he was only stabbed once. No, we have the autopsy report. He was only stabbed once. Nice try, pal. Nice try, Mr. Monopoly, man. I know you're trying to end the trial because you want to go home and play more Monopoly, but it's not going to happen. Because the autopsy report directly contradicts your assertion. Nice try, pal. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that? The autopsy report is to say it didn't happen like that. Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you.
Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you.
Just out of curiosity, let me check something really quickly. Oh, thanks. I was gonna make a joke. I was hoping that the jurors' ages would, or their ages would be here, so I could be like, make a joke about Granny's age and being old, but sadly, I can't. The game's court record was not sophisticated enough to allow me to see the age of the jurors, so I can't make a joke about how old she is. Sorry, folks. I can't make the joke. Let's just pretend that I did.
I should take this needle to you.
Ah, they're ready to kill each other now. Oh, good lord. But could the foreman of the jury be right? No. Do the 2 witnesses see 2 different moments of the same crime? Nope. It's completely out of the question. No. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, you dark jinx? Come on with it.
What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What? What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job?
I don't care if you're only doing your job. You're doing a shitty job.
As foreman of the jury, I have responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction.
Oh, and what's the right direction, pray tell?
So where's your evidence, man?
That's okay. That's fine. I have it. It's the autopsy report.
I say the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime. If you say that's another question, show me some proof.
Gladly. I'll happily show you some proof. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish.
What?
I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime, as proven by the autopsy report.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once.
Only once?
It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely 1 time. I swear to God, if Dracula says if Dracula says there's an updated autopsy report, I'm throwing my controller at the TV. Don't say it, Dracula.
Alright, I can see defeat.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. And suddenly oh, how the tables have turned. The balance has shifted back in our favor. Wait, that means 4 jurors now leaning to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh my god, I love... Oh, the animations are so good. We've won! Like, did she just... Susato just emanates, like... She radiates joy with every animation that she has.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Set your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one, and if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor sharp blade and shave... Are you licking your knife? Okay. Tongue animation, or I guess not animation, tongue physics points from a tech perspective, but why did you have to, why did you really need to? I didn't need to see this. You didn't. I'm just gonna keep moving now. Please tell me he's a barber. Oh, good Lord Almighty. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue. That's a victory as far as I'm concerned. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places, and I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. So, Lord Van Zeeks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. Oh great, more blood. My favorite pastime drink. Well, they are just flaunting the fact that they have liquid physics now. They are just really showing off. Wow. Okay. Could you show off any more there, Capcom? Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks. Bah, is it coded here or just me? As your antiquated tomb no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination, so I ordered to a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. That's a great way to talk to the jury, pal. You know, a great way to get the jury on your side is to call them all idiots. Great job, Dracula. 10 out of 10. 200 IQ play. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard as to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Oh, the cape has come off! Bring forth the witnesses once more! And I see his hat is... Oh, it's actually staying on his head this time. He's learned. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Oh, yes, sir. I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir. I heard...
Nope, never mind. It's still slipping off.
You, sir, on the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo?
Yes, sir. My lord, sir?
If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, mio Dio.
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination.
Okay, this trial's been going on for a while now. Hold on, I might... Okay. So, I'm gonna do this thing I did last time. I'm gonna try to save the game. Okay, what the hell is going on? Are we just, like, abandoning save screens now? Seriously? There's just no to be continueds anymore. We're just skipping right over them. Usually when we go from one bit to the next, it passes by, like... There's a clear to be continued screen and a save screen to let you know you're passing into a new chapter. We're just keep going, so that's weird. I don't know why we're suddenly doing that, but anyway, so I guess I'll be for this episode then. This case is awesome so far. I mean, I guess we aren't too far in to say the case itself is awesome, but so far the case is functional and it's good so far. And the new gameplay mechanics of the summation examination, freaking phenomenal. I adore the new gameplay mechanic. It's everything that the group testimony ever should have been in the crossover. It's fantastic so far. And so, of course, and we got a few more reminders this episode of how great the technical perspective of this game is with the walking cycles and the new animations for all the characters specifically. I'm most impressed so far with Susato's animation. It's just every animation she has is just like masterfully tweened. Because that's a term in animation is tweening the individual keyframes. It's all everything about this game's technical perspective is just masterfully done. And I particularly like the shot where you just show Dracula just swishing the liquid around the cup, like they're just flaunting, they're just showing off about, hey, look what we can do now. Look how far tech has advanced in the past few decades, huh? Bet you can't beat us on this liquid physics. It's just funny to think about. Anyway, that'll be it for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time to catch you all tomorrow. Oh, actually, wait. One more thing I want to say. It might be too early to call, but based on what I've seen, based on what we've played so far, I think I can say with confidence that Susato is dethroning both Maya and Emma. She's easily my favorite assistant so far. We'll see. We'll reassess at the end of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles as a duology. But right now, she's dethroned Maya and Emma. She is my favorite assistant we've had so far. She's just like the perfect culmination of everything that you would want in an assistant. She's resourceful. She's intelligent. She's compassionate. She has a good sense of humor. She's determined. She stands up for herself. She might be my favorite character in the entire series so far. So. This game just keeps getting better. This is awesome. Anyway, redoing my intro. Thanks for watching, or outro. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned next time. Stay tuned next time. I'll catch you all tomorrow for some more Great Ace Attorney adventures. Goodbye.